Welcome to Concrete Block, the podcast where we break down the latest news and current events in a fair and balanced way. I'm your host, Walter, and we're glad you're joining us today. We're starting off with a story that's been making waves in British politics. It seems like Prime Minister Keir Starmer, is facing a revolt within his own party over his government's handling of welfare cuts. The Labour Party has been divided on the issue, with some members feeling that the cuts go too far and will hurt the most vulnerable members of society. According to reports, Starmer has been forced to make concessions on the welfare cuts in an effort to quell the revolt. This comes after a group of Labour MPs rebelled against the government's plans, which they felt were too harsh. The rebels were led by senior backbencher Meg Hillier, who chairs the Treasury Select Committee. It's worth noting that Starmer has been facing criticism from within his own party for his handling of various issues, including immigration and crime. Some Labour MPs feel that he's not doing enough to address the concerns of traditional Labour voters, and that his government is too focused on fiscal prudence at the expense of public services. In a recent interview with the Observer newspaper, Starmer acknowledged that he had made mistakes since taking office, including squeezing the hope out of the country with his gloomy rhetoric. He also expressed regret over a speech he gave on immigration that was criticized as populist. The situation is complex, and there are valid arguments on both sides. On one hand, the government needs to make tough decisions to balance the budget and ensure the long-term sustainability of public finances. On the other hand, welfare cuts can have a devastating impact on the most vulnerable members of society, including the poor, the elderly, and those with disabilities. As we continue to follow this story, it's clear that Starmer faces a difficult balancing act in trying to appease different factions within his party, while also making decisions that are in the best interests of the country. We'll be keeping a close eye on developments and bringing you updates as more information becomes available. We'll be right back with more of today's top news on Concrete Block. Welcome back to Concrete Block. We're glad you're still with us as we dive into the latest news from around the world. Today we're focusing on a significant development in Central Africa, where Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of Congo have signed a peace deal aimed at ending years of conflict and instability in the region. The agreement, brokered by the United States, Qatar, and the African Union, provides for a cessation of hostilities between the two countries, as well as a halt to support for armed groups operating in the area. One of the key provisions of the deal is the neutralization of the Democratic Forces for the Liberation of Rwanda, or FDLR, a rebel group that has been active in eastern Congo for decades. The peace deal also includes an economic component, which aims to promote regional integration and cooperation between Rwanda and Congo. The two countries have agreed to establish joint processing and trading ventures, which will enable them to benefit from the rich mineral resources found in the region. This could include the development of a $760 million hydropower plant, as well as gas-powered electricity projects and tourism initiatives. The United States has pledged to invest directly in the region and encourage American companies to do the same, in an effort to help solidify the peace deal and promote economic growth. Congo has also offered the U.S. the opportunity to invest in its economy more broadly, including in infrastructure development and the mining of critical minerals such as copper and cobalt. While the peace deal is a significant step forward, there are still many challenges that need to be addressed. The M23 rebellion, which is just one of dozens of conflicts in eastern Congo, will need to be resolved through separate peace talks. Additionally, the governments of Rwanda and Congo will need to find a way to disarm and demobilize tens of thousands of members of armed groups and provide them with alternative livelihoods. The issue of land ownership is also likely to be a major point of contention, as millions of Congolese have been displaced by violence in the east of the country. Furthermore, the illegal trade in minerals, particularly gold, will need to be addressed through more effective certification schemes and international cooperation. Overall, the peace deal between Rwanda and Congo is a positive development, but its success will depend on the ability of the two countries to work together and address the complex challenges that have plagued the region for so long. We'll continue to follow this story and provide updates as more information becomes available. Stay tuned for our final story of the day, right here on Concrete Block. Welcome back to Concrete Block. I'm your host, Walter. We're wrapping up today's show with a look at the latest developments in international news. We've been following the situation between the US, Iran, and Israel, and there have been some significant updates. Reports emerged earlier this week that the Trump administration was considering a civilian nuclear deal with Iran, potentially worth up to $38 billion. However, President Trump has since dismissed these reports as a hoax on his social media platform, Truth Social. According to CNN and NBC News, officials had discussed possible economic incentives for Iran in exchange for halting uranium enrichment. But it seems that these proposals were preliminary and have been rejected by the president. The situation between the US, Iran, and Israel remains complex and tense. The recent ceasefire announced by President Trump has brought a temporary halt to hostilities, but the underlying issues remain unresolved. It's worth noting that Iran has consistently maintained that its nuclear program is peaceful, while the US and Israel have expressed concerns about the potential for nuclear weapons development. The International Atomic Energy Agency, the UN's nuclear watchdog, has stated that it has no credible indication of an active coordinated weapons program in Iran. As always, we strive to bring you balanced and accurate information here on Concrete Block. We'll continue to monitor this situation and provide updates as more information becomes available. That's all for today's Concrete Block. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, stay informed.